The Amazon rainforest is often called the lungs of our planet, but to those who have tried to conquer it, it is known by a much darker name, the Green Hell. For centuries, we believed this vast, impenetrable wilderness was a primordial void, a place where civilization simply could not take root. We were told that the soil was too poor, the climate too hostile, and the terrain too unforgiving for anything more than small, nomadic tribes. But history is being rewritten in real time. As you listen to these words, a high-tech revolution is peeling back the canopy, revealing something that mainstream archaeology said was impossible. Hidden beneath the roots of ancient trees lies a ghost, a sprawling, golden empire that refused to be forgotten. This is the legend of Paititi, the last sanctuary of the Inca, and the reason everything we thought we knew about South American history is about to change. It is a story of blood, gold, and a silence that has lasted for 500 years. To understand Paititi, we must go back to the year 1532, to the moment the world of the Inca began to bleed. When the Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro captured the Sapa Inca Atahualpa in the square of Cajamarca, he didn't just capture a man, he captured a living god. To buy his freedom, Atahualpa made an offer that still boggles the mind. He promised to fill a room 22 feet long and 17 feet wide, once with gold and twice with silver, as high as he could reach. The Inca Empire complied with a speed that terrified the Spaniards. From the furthest reaches of the Andes, from temples and palaces thousands of miles away, caravans of llamas and thousands of porters carried the sacred metal of the sun toward the Spanish camp. But the Spanish were not men of their word. Despite receiving the ransom, they executed Atahualpa by garrote. Legend says that when the news of the king's death reached the approaching caravans still on the trails, they didn't stop in despair. They didn't turn back to their abandoned cities. Instead, they vanished. They turned off the known roads and melted into the high-altitude cloud forests of the Madre de Dios. They carried with them the most sacred relics of their people, the massive golden disk of the sun and the mummified remains of their ancestors. They were heading toward a place already spoken of in hushed tones, a city of stone and gold built in the shadow of the mountains, protected by the very jungle that the Europeans feared most. This was the birth of the Paititi legend. For centuries, Paititi was dismissed as a fairy tale, a psychological projection of greedy explorers who couldn't accept that the gold was gone. But in the early 2000s, a breakthrough occurred in the most unlikely of places: the secret archives of the Vatican. A Jesuit document known as the Mirabilis was uncovered, dating back to the late 16th century. In it, a missionary describes a city so magnificent it rivaled Cusco itself. He spoke of a place where the walls were plated in gold and the people lived in harmony with the spirits of the forest. This wasn't just folklore. It was a second-hand account from a time when the survivors of the conquest were still alive. Then came the local testimonies. The indigenous Matsigenka people have spoken for generations of the city of the heart, a place where the old ones still dwell in majestic stone halls. They describe strange carved stones and stairways that lead directly into the clouds, hidden deep within the forbidden zones of the Manu National Park. These stories were long ignored by Western science, dismissed as the myths of people who didn't understand the real world. But the locals weren't lying. They were describing a geographical reality we simply weren't equipped to see through the thick green veil of the canopy. The true turning point arrived not with a shovel or a machete, but with a laser. LiDAR technology, light detection and ranging, has changed the game of archaeology forever. By firing millions of laser pulses from aircraft per second, researchers can now deforest the Amazon digitally. The lasers penetrate the gaps between the leaves, hit the ground, and bounce back, creating a three-dimensional map of the terrain beneath the trees. In 2024 and early 2025, the results of these scans began to leak out, and they are staggering. We aren't just finding a few isolated houses. We are finding low-density urbanism on a scale that rivals the engineering of ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. In the Upano Valley and across the Bolivian Amazon, thousands of man-made mounds, complex canals, and raised roads stretching for miles have been mapped. These aren't the works of small, primitive tribes. These are the fingerprints of a sophisticated, highly organized civilization that managed the jungle like a massive continental garden. The most recent data from the Madre de Dios region suggests that a massive, unknown complex exists under the dense vegetation near the Nistron River. It shows a site with distinct upper and lower sectors, protected by natural rock walls and accessible only by ancient, hidden trails that have been swallowed by the earth. Is this the real Paititi? The exact coordinates are being kept secret by governments to prevent a modern-day gold rush and mass looting, but the shadow of a true metropolis is now clearly visible beneath the green shroud. This discovery does more than just find a lost city. It collapses the official timeline of human history as we know it. If the Amazon was home to millions of people living in interconnected cities, then the pristine rainforest we see today is not a natural wilderness. It is a feral orchard, the remains of a massive agricultural project that collapsed only after European diseases like smallpox wiped out 90% of the population before the first conquistador even arrived. The Incan move into the jungle wasn't a desperate flight into the unknown. It was a strategic withdrawal into a territory they already knew, already cultivated, and likely already controlled. We are looking at a version of history where the conquest was never actually finished. Somewhere, deep in the mountains, the Inca didn't just survive, they thrived, hidden from the eyes of a world that thought they were extinct. The implications are profound and, for some, deeply unsettling. It means our ancestors were far more capable, more numerous, and more technologically advanced than we have ever dared to admit in our history books. But the search for Paititi comes with a heavy price, one paid in blood and madness. The jungle does not give up its secrets easily, and it often consumes those who try to take them. Since the days of the legendary Percy Fawcett, who vanished looking for the city of Z, dozens of explorers have walked into these woods with maps and dreams, only to never walk out again. Even today, with satellite phones and GPS, the region is one of the most dangerous places on Earth. It's not just the jaguars, the caimans, or the venomous snakes that can kill you in minutes. It is the crushing isolation and the psychological weight of the silence. Furthermore, the uncontacted tribes who live in these areas are the unofficial and often violent guardians of the ruins. This brings us to an ethical dilemma at the heart of modern archaeology. Do we even have the right to disturb these places? If Paititi is found, it will bring tourism, illegal mining, and the inevitable destruction of one of the last truly wild places on our planet. Some say the city should stay lost, acting as a silent monument to a people who chose freedom in the shadows over slavery under the Spanish sun. As we move deeper into 2026, the final countdown has begun. Several independent research teams, armed with the latest satellite imagery and drone-mounted LiDAR, are narrowing down the search area to a few square kilometers. The final expedition is no longer the dream of a madman. It is a logistical reality currently in motion. We are closer than we have ever been to putting a high-definition camera on the ground of the Golden City. But as the lasers penetrate the leaves and the maps become clearer every day, we must ask ourselves, What are we really looking for? Are we looking for gold and artifacts to fill our museums? Or are we looking for a mirror that shows us a different version of ourselves? A version of humanity that didn't destroy nature to build an empire, but lived within its pulse. Paititi is more than just stone, myth, and lost treasure. It is a reminder that the world is still full of massive, world-altering mysteries. It tells us that beneath our feet and beneath the roots of the trees, the past is not dead. It is just waiting to be heard. The silence of the Amazon is not an empty one. It is a silence full of stories, waiting for the right moment to be told to a world that is finally ready to listen. Thank you for exploring the shadows of history with Hidden Origins. If you want to be there when the first images of the Forbidden City are finally revealed to the public, hit the subscribe button and join our search for the hidden truths of our world. The past isn't gone. It's just waiting for someone to find the path. Keep questioning the official timeline and stay curious. The heart of the heart is closer than you think. Goodbye for now.